She's applying her makeup.
I was, you know me. Beauty secrets.
That's okay.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Waterbury Board of Education regular meeting. We'll begin tonight with a silent prayer. Commissioner Pagano, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Surely. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Commissioner Harvey?
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez? Commissioner Pagano?
Here.
Vice President Rodriguez?
Here.
Commissioner Stango?
Here.
Commissioner Sweeney? Here. Commissioner Theriault?
Here.
Commissioner Jason Vanstone?
Present.
Commissioner Tom Vanstone?
Present.
President Brown?
Present. We have a quorum. Okay, we'll begin with our communications. Communication dated May 10th, 2017 from State Department of Education regarding petition for declaratory ruling. Number 2, email communication dated May 18th, 2017 from Danielle Albert regarding math teacher at Gilmartin School. Copy of communications dated May 18th, 2017 from Civil Service certifying Nicholas Lieber for the position of HVAC technician, Sarah McKay for the position of ABA behavioral therapist, and Rachel DiLeonardo for the position of ABA behavioral therapist. Email communication dated May 26th from CABE regarding policy highlights. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion to receive and place on file communications as read.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Next on the agenda, public address to the board. May I have a motion?
Motion to suspend the regular business here from the public.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Opposed, abstained, motion carries. All speakers are encouraged to submit prepared written statements to the commissioners. Comments shall be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. There will be no responses this evening to any questions or concerns raised. They will be referred to the administration for review and response. Thank you. Danielle Albert, please.
Hey, everybody. I attended the Parent Community Leadership Conference last Friday as a committee volunteer and as a past recipient. It was a fabulous way to support, encourage, and acknowledge parent engagement and connect parents with available resources in the city and in the schools. For as many things that need to be improved in this district is extremely fortunate to have so many people in it who truly care about our children. With that said, I want to speak specifically about the workshop portion of the conference. I chose to go to the Language Arts, Math, and Science K-12 workshop. Although the title was a bit broad, I figured it would cover a lot of ground for me as a mom. What I found during that hour plus was essentially everything a parent would want to know about assessments, testing, and Common Core. To use a phrase of my own mother's, it was like soup to nuts. The workshop provided information on the following. Assessment mechanisms were explained for the 3 major subject areas. Words and acronyms like benchmark, DIBELS, SBAC, CAP test, SAT weren't just thrown around, they were actually explained. Progress reports for each subject were discussed and examples were shared. There was a Q&A of sorts on PSATs and SATs. Mr. Strand, Mr. Reed, Mrs. Frennis, and Ms. Mortensen, all 4 of your experts were in one room. They were willing to answer questions and engage in a very productive dialogue. There was discussion about this essentially being what I'll call a transition generation from the old school of paper and pencil, the way parents like myself learned, to the age of cell phones and technological skills taking over. That workshop brought everything together and served it on a platter to parents in a language that we could all understand. It was scheduled for half an hour, but went to an hour, and if you had more parents there, it could have gone on longer. I sat there and thought, why is this not happening all the time? This information is key in connecting parents to what's going on in the classroom. Knowing all of this will help us help our children better. There was one other opportunity similar to this. Months ago, at the last SGC training at Gilmartin, where Mrs. Frennis and Ms. Mortensen shared information on math and ELA, Common Core and testing. And I thought at that time, this information has got to be made more readily accessible to parents. This district needs to find a way to get your experts, their knowledge and information out to parents multiple times a year, be it in an auditorium, here, different schools, different grades at a time. Provide us with a forum to share the ways that our children's progress is being monitored. Common Core needs to be explained literally in all languages to parents. Encourage parent engagement for our bilingual families, even if that means having interpreters participate. Even though this information may be out there, it's not getting to parents in ways we can all understand. And from my own experience, directing parents to websites is not the best way to help us help our children. One of the things Mrs. Hayes mentioned in her speech on Friday was the perception of parents not caring. Every single child has someone in their life that cares. This district has to become better about making that connection with that person that cares. I get information because I come here. Many parents don't know they can come here. Some can't even make it to conferences because of certain circumstances. Conferences are wonderful. However, all of what I got on Friday cannot be provided in a conference for 10 minutes, 1 or 2 nights a year. I think moving forward, you need to make this a priority. Find ways like that workshop forum to ensure information and updates are made available to parents. Use your experts to provide us with the proper tools. If some type of connection can be made, if we know how to better help our children, they will definitely succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers this evening? Seeing none, could I have a motion?
Motion to return to regular business.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Superintendent's announcement.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm very pleased tonight to just announce the Naugatuck Valley Community College from President DeFilippis has informed us that the U.S. Department of Education has notified NVCC that all 3 of its U.S. DOE upward bound grant applications have been selected for funding. This is extremely exciting news. These are grants that will be awarded to Crosby, Kennedy, and Wilby. Each grant is a 5-year award in the amount of $257,500 per year. And I just want to do a special acknowledgement and thanks to Dave Salata, who works so hard on these grants. He's the NVCC Bridge to College Director, and he was so successful in this first time, I believe, grant application. And he serves as a local project director for NVCC, so very thrilled with that. A couple of quick announcements, if I can. 2 of our staff at Duggan Elementary School were among those honored May 24th at the awards banquet at Waterbury Hospital. Duggan school nurse Jennifer Voti saved the life of a kindergarten student who went into cardiac arrest during lunch. Very serious matter, and we were very thankful for her services. She received a life-saving award, and she was assisted in her efforts by school parent liaison, Tina St. Pierre. Other first responders from the fire department and police department were also recognized at this award ceremony. As Mrs. Albert had indicated, we had the 3rd annual Parent Community Leadership Conference, very successful with Mrs. Johanna Hayes, very inspiring remarks once again. And again, we will take those comments very seriously this evening to try to turnkey this over to other sites. So I know I'm not supposed to comment, but I will since it's in my report, Madam President. Thank you. Yesterday, a very wonderful event, a favorite event of all of ours is the annual Teacher of the Year Award. Special event, very inspiring of the work of our teachers. And I'm pleased to announce that this year, Yolanda Leaf, a science teacher at Crosby High School, very deserving of that recognition. She will be on to the state competition in the fall. And I've provided for you in my report some of the outstanding accomplishments from her resume. Today, we're joined by our mayor, who did a phenomenal job in kicking off our 2,500 students participated in the Neal O'Leary Waterbury Kids Marathon at Library Park. It was phenomenal, beautiful weather, great call to postpone it, a lot of enthusiasm and excitement. The students, have been preparing for this event. We had wonderful turnout from administrators, teachers, community members. And I don't know who the winner was, but all of them were winners, right, Mayor?
Yeah, all of them.
Thank you. For local businesses, unfortunately, I was not able to attend, but I was very disappointed in this. We had work together to donate the custom-designed school bus to Waterbury Police Activity League. This was an outstanding event. A community ceremony took place yesterday. I just was able to see some pictures on the website. It was outstanding. I can't wait to see it in person. But All-Star Transportation donated the full-size bus, while WORX Prospect marketing firm created the design using PAL participants as models to wrap around the bus. Signs Pros, a Southington company, installed the wraparound bus, and Zeller Tires donated the tires. So, great event there. Just a reminder, a couple of things. Rivera Memorial Foundation is proud to announce the grand reopening of the Rivera Hughes Memorial Park on Westover Street in Waterbury on Saturday, June 3rd, from 1 to 4. The event will begin with a formal opening dedicated to the lives and services of firefighters Heriberto Rivera and Howard Hughes, and the revealing of a brand new sign for the park. Great event. There'll be South End cheerleaders and others, and a collection of monetary donations. All are welcome to join this special event. And that concludes my remarks, Madam President. I'll entertain any questions the board may have this evening.
Commissioner Van Stone.
Thank you, Madam President, through you. I did just arrive. I was at the award ceremony for academics at Crosby High School. They did ask about my appearance, and I just joked with the mayor that I did joke actually at the ceremony that I could tell a great story on how the mayor and I were talking about the budget. But I told them that's not the truth. So the only thing I'll say about that is I told the children, use sunscreen.
Good.
And we'll talk about that more later as you know how I am about the bill that's going forward. So I just wanted to let you know that they gave me many opportunities to talk about my 95%ers. It was a very good, diverse crowd that saw their students getting awarded. So Crosby stood tall tonight. So I just want to congratulate you and your staff on that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. I don't have a lot of comments. I just want to echo the remarks of the fabulous parent leadership training and really thank Mary Ann Merrill and her staff for their outstanding organization, and Angela Holmes from Waterbury Hospital, and all the volunteers, Danielle, and many parents were there. It was a real community event, and staff for your outstanding workshops and all the work that went into it. Truly a collaborative effort. Okay, we will go to the consent calendar. Would anybody like to remove anything from the consent calendar? Seeing none, I will read the consent calendar. 8.1, request approval of the 2018 School Readiness Grant application. 8.2, request approval to apply for the 2017-2019 School Readiness Grant, local application. 8.3, request approval of a construction contract with Silktown Roofing Incorporated for West Side Middle School roof replacement. 8.4, request permission be granted to Dino Patoni, Kennedy High School, and 7 chaperones to take 80 students to Agawam, Mass. To visit Six Flags. 8.5, use of school facilities by school organizations and/or city departments. 8.6, use of school facilities by outside organizations and/or waiver requests. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve consent calendar as read.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll go to number 10, Commissioner Pagano.
Ladies and gentlemen, with the approval of the Committee on Finance, the Superintendent of Schools recommends approval of a lease agreement with the Police Athletic Activity League of Waterbury, Inc. for a 5-year period with an optional 5-year period for the property located at 58 Grigg Street, Waterbury, Connecticut. Respectfully submitted, Dr. Kathleen Willett.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Pagano.
Yeah, in a nutshell, I've been impressed with the process since we started this. Starting with Michelle Baker and Will Zuta's presentation on the criteria and the requirements of why we have to look at a facility such as, and along with the procurement process, that Rocco and the city procurement, when they put out the RFP and we got this one response, it became sort of a fait accompli to me that we have to go forward with this to solve a near-term problem and to buy us time for the next 5 years. So I am supporting, I will vote yes for this.
Thank you. Commissioner Stango.
Thank you. We have been leasing the St. Lucy's PAL building since 2008. That's over 8 years now total, and every year during those 8 years, the lease would come before this board, greeted with great angst, second only to the budget process discussions, which we also subject ourselves every year, ourselves to. Each year we bemoan the fact that we have nowhere else to put our challenged special needs kids in this program, and every year we would ultimately vote to approve, saying we really need to look at another plan, another location, so that we have all options on the table. At one point a few years ago, and then again this year, we put out an RFP for a new facility. The first time we had 2 responses. We had PAL and another one for an unsuitable building which did not fit our needs for a lot of reasons. No way a school would be put there. This year we did it again, and only PAL responded with an RFP for a building that we are already using and that we already know fits our needs. So what other options do we have? Perhaps outsourcing students, sending out of district for special schools? Put up portables maybe, at who knows what expense, which we will never recover that money. Too many issues with that. How about looking into one of these commercial steel buildings that I see advertised? They go up in a jiffy. Not suitable for a school. It's been mentioned using space in a current middle school or other schools to house our program. And we were told also that this is not really an option. So we really don't have any other viable options at this time. Now for my concerns, things I am uncomfortable with. When talking about a municipality, it's always better to own than to lease. I would rather own the building than to lease the building. I had concerns that we could not break this lease year to year, but those seem to have been rectified by our emails during the course of the last couple of days. And I also have concerns with the cost of the lease seems to increase every year over 5 years. Now, the things I am comfortable with. I am comfortable with the PAL building. I like the location. I like that it's in proximity to Reed, a neighborhood school which we have already invested heavily into. It's developed a whole educational community in that little corner of the neighborhood. I like the fact that there are fields and courts in a refurbished neighborhood. I like the fact that the administration confirms that the educational needs of the students can be met in the PAL building. That were confirmed at committee meetings that we had and workshop. I like the fact that with all our choices or lack of choices, the PAL building will help our students succeed. So in conclusion, the things about this lease that I am uncomfortable with do not rise to the level of the things that I am comfortable with. Therefore, I'm going to vote to approve with the hopes that if PAL is the ultimate space for our program in need, that we will hopefully work to own it at some point and not to continue to pay this lease for another 8 years or 5 years, let alone 10 years. And thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Van Stone, and then Commissioner Van Stone. Anybody else?
Thank you, Madam President. Through you. Last week at workshop, I had asked Mr. Brinker for some answers. I didn't know if you happen to have the answers to the 3 questions I asked last week. I think one was taken care of with Commissioner Sweeney's query about the 90-day notice, so I'm glad that's in there. But other questions included, in the negotiation process, did we begin at a 0 increase year over year at any point? And you said you were going to check with Mr. Orso about that.
Mr. Brinker.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners. Yes, I checked with Mr. Rosso, and after I did discuss the issues with Deputy Chief Spagnola. And he felt the price was fair, that the increase in the cost of the lease would be tied to a lower level of the consumer price index for similar buildings. And that was the end of our discussion.
Whether we arrived at a fair price wasn't really my question, and I could argue it is or it isn't. My question was, did we start at zero, which I think should be the beginning of any negotiation from our side. They should start high, we should start low and meet in the middle. That's how it works. Did you get to that answer, or is that just we started with these numbers and everyone said great?
We started with those numbers. And after our discussion last week, I went back, and those numbers remained.
And the other question was, I know you said it was essentially for stability, but where did the 5-year magic number come from?
It was a discussion over the past 6 or 7 months with our committee, and it was based on stability. There's nothing in education law of which I'm aware. It's just that the principal, as Commissioner Stango has pointed out, each year, almost, there's sort of pressure on the staff and the principal that we're going to move somewhere, although they don't know where. So it was intended to provide them with stability, an opportunity to construct a program that best suits the needs for those students over a 5-year period. With the change in the era, so we now have the ability to leave with 9 months, with 90 days notice.
I get the idea of stability, but we offer teachers 3-year contracts, superintendent. We've got 4-year terms, mayor's got 4-year terms. I just didn't know where 5 came from.
It was just, again, what I said, to set stability, nothing more.
Okay. I'm not going to bang my head against the wall on this one again. I'll be voting no tonight, just because I don't see the need to go to 5. I think this year it makes sense to go back to PAL because we don't have any other options, but to put this board or the next board on the hook 5 years out, even with that out clause, I don't think that's in our best interest. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Stone.
Thank you, Madam President, through you. I do have questions. I'm going to back up a little bit to the RFP because this is already before us to vote on the actual contract. And I just want to check on a few things on the RFP. In fairness to anyone who would have bid and what that RFP stated, trying to find the actual page in the contract or the RFP that I'm struggling to find right now. I made a lot of copies, but not that one. One of which was, and I think Mr. Brinker needs to stay close to us to answer these.
If I could ask, is this pertaining to the lease before us?
It's pertaining to the RFP that got us to the lease before us because in my recollection, until we saw the lease, we never saw the RFP. So I think it's fair that I ask questions about the RFP.
Proceed.
We never saw this RFP.
Proceed. My understanding is it was public. It's public knowledge, though. I mean, it's publicly.
It was never presented to this board, the RFP that went out for this.
I don't think that's the process, but we'll check. Please proceed. Go ahead.
Okay. So we asked for 10 classrooms was the first thing we asked for. Now, based on the information we received just in the last couple of days, that would mean we sent an RFP that would look for 5 students per classroom. And the math I did on, say, Chase School would mean we need about approximately 180 classrooms in order for someone like Chase to have actually been able to apply or propose to this RFP. So if we're asking for 10 classrooms and we only average the numbers you gave us just a couple days ago, 5 per classrooms, why are we asking for 10 classrooms?
We asked for 10 classrooms because the attendance, the enrolled attendance is about 80, between 75 and 80.
Okay, 8 per classroom.
Right. And the difference between the students in Chase Elementary School, if that's the Chase you're referring to, and this school are quite drastic. These students need more space. They need an area to go where they have to de-escalate if they're having issues.
Are you really telling me we're arguing between 8 students per classroom
Point
on the
of order,
very high side?
Mr. Commissioner Van Stone.
Point of order
Please
for
do
what?
not argue with
I'm
staff.
not arguing, I'm asking a question.
Well, it sounds like you're argumentative, so ask the question, and if it's answered.
The question
end
is,
it.
even if we go up to 80, which this school has never seen 80 students, Are we really comparing 8 students per classroom, and that is giving a lot of luxury, to 30 students per classroom?
We're not comparing apples and oranges, if that's your question, Commissioner. The students are quite different.
My next question is, see, I'm out of order. We've also asked about things like specialty rooms, and I'm going to bring this back, believe it, Madam President, even though you don't want to hear what I have to say.
Point of order.
Fine.
Commissioner Van Stone, please remember your decorum this evening.
Call the
Thank you.
cops and arrest me.
Me too.
We are asking for things like specialty rooms for whatever, whether it be psychologists or whatever. I will again bring us back to Chase School, where our psychologists are in a locker room. Their supplies are in a shower room, and their file cabinets are sitting next to a working toilet. So why do we need special locations for those items?
We need special locations for these students to provide the services that are required in their IEP.
So these students deserve better accommodations than the other 17,000 students that we have in the school district.
No, Commissioner, they should get the same treatment based on their needs. And they each have an IEP, and each student, at a minimum, in State Street School has 32 and a half hours of special education required. The students in Chase are not that way. I know Chase is tight, but it is tight. That's
Okay.
how it is. But these students have a requirement, each and every one,
That's
of
fine.
32 and a half hours.
I mean, it really doesn't matter what I say, because this was a
Commissioner
dumb...
Van Stone, please do not argue with staff. Ask
Not
your
arguing.
questions, please.
Stop it.
You are argumentative, and please.
We are asking for things like principal offices. I will use Walsh School as an example, where the principal's office is no more than a closet. So, again, I'm bringing it back to, I feel this RFP went out with only one eligible candidate able to bid. Because I'm pointing out our schools that would not have been able to bid on this proposal. That's my point. And in the past, I have brought up utilizing space, and now with this contract, when you include the extras, which is utilities, et cetera, $1 million would certainly revamp any one of our middle schools, and I know the presentation we saw said otherwise, that would give them cafeterias, would give them principal space, would give them, in the case of 2 of our middle schools, a tremendous location for nurses and medical staff, seeing we have basically a mini hospital in 2 of our middle schools. My point is that the RFP, I do not feel, was able to be bid by anyone but one lease. That's my point in all this. I am not comfortable with the study we did. We never asked for 100% of our special ed students to be shipped out of city. Never did we say that. And that was the comparison we were given. My point through all this is my opinion, we did not do what I would call a valid survey of our options. Now, I do not want this to become anything to say I'm anti-PAL, because it couldn't be anything further from the truth. This has nothing to do with PAL. We have other local organizations like WOW, like the Boys Club, like the Girls Inc., like the YMCA that offer us great services also. Okay? And maybe they don't have the requirements that this RFP sent out, and it's probably true. I just want a fair playing field for people to respond, and I feel the RFP was written as such that no one would have been able to bid on this contract. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no. Commissioner Theriault.
I sensed you were hoping I would not speak. But actually, You don't have to stand there, Mr. Berger. I don't have any questions. Okay?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Unless other people do. First of all, President Brown, I owe you an apology. An apology because I inadvertently referred to the number of students enrolled at State Street because of information I was previously given to be about 90. It was bantered about, yep, we got 90 students, yep, 90, yep. Last week we were told we have 73% attendance on the 90. So that would be 65.7 kids. I hope I'm able to do this without being rude, without being out of order. I hope nobody calls the cops on me. But, you know, we're all here to present light on the information here. I requested the enrollment data for the past 30 days at State Street School. And the actual enrollment right now is 67 students. 67 as of 5/25. And the actual attendance is 41. 41? I was hearing bantered about enrollment at the Enlightenment program as being 200 or more. But the actual enrollment as of 5/25 is actually 183. And the actual attendance on the 183 was 127 students. So we couldn't take these programs and combine them to 167 students? Maybe we could, if we wanted to, if we had the will, if we had the initiative. I was delighted to hear that we have an opt-out policy, because right now we don't have any choice. We don't have any other place to go because we haven't really explored any other place to go. But I feel a bit deceived. I feel a bit angered that I was given information that may or may not have been true. And I'm not pointing an accusatory finger or getting involved in an argument. I just want the facts. Just the facts, man, as Friday would say, right? You remember the show, those of you that are old enough. Just the facts, man. But I don't feel like I got all the facts. I'm happy that we have an opportunity for an opt-out lease within a certain amount of time. And I would urge the board and other people on this board to look for various options out of the PAL lease. Unless the PAL lease could turn into a program that turned into a regional facility where not only recalcitrant students from Waterbury go, but kids from Wolcott, kids from Watertown, kids from Naugatuck, they could be sent to us. And we could reap the rewards of educating those kids. You need a specialized staff. When we send kids to ACES, yes, we do spend hundreds and thousands of dollars. So if the State Street program through the Waterbury Board of Ed could be changed and evolve into a facility that was regionalized, I'd be the first one to raise the banner and the flag. I'd be the first one to jump up and down. So I hope as we go further, we explore this option, because I think it's a very viable option for the surrounding towns. I think it's a tremendous way for us to reap the rewards and put a special facility in place that could encourage those surrounding districts to send our students here to get the proper remedial education and the proper behavioral training that they need. as usual, I go on and on. So when I really look at this lease, I know some people will say, you know, it's only $150,000, it's only $165,000, but in actuality, it's closer to $350,000 to $400,000 a year. When we count our custodians, we count our overtime, we count all of these other things, it's really closer to $400,000. And 5 times $400,000 is $2 million. So every 5 years, we're dishing out $2 million to a great organization. Nothing to be said that PAL isn't a great organization. I mean, we saw that this morning by the bus. Now I can't wait to ride the new bus. Great bus, great program. Kudos to the mayor and his staff for the absolutely phenomenal job. Not only state recognition in New England, recognition nationally. So we're on the drawing boards. We're recognized as one of the founding places of taking a program that was defunct and bringing it back to its vibrancy and helping thousands and thousands of kids. So as we go forward, I hope we are able to do some revitalization, and if nothing else, and I know we have to count the shadows, you know, if we have 100 kids, you know, and only 80 of them show up, we still have to count the other 20. I know that's the nature of the situation here. It's the nature of the program. But I'd certainly like to see that program really expand to about 150 kids, take some stress and strain off the other schools in Waterbury that are having very, very difficult problems with their students, and put those students in a place, a safe place, they can be properly educated. And even if we had the 150, all right, maybe we want to have 120 in attendance. That would work out better for me. So at this point, reluctantly, I'm going to vote for it because of the opt-out portion. But I really think if we had looked a little harder, we could have found some space for 41 kids. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, call the roll call, please.
Commissioner Harvey?
Yes.
Commissioner Pagano?
Yes.
Vice President Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Stango?
Yes.
Commissioner Sweeney?
Yes.
Commissioner Theriault?
Yes.
Commissioner Jason Van Stone? No. Commissioner Tom Van Stone? No. President Brown?
Yes.
7-2, motion passes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Number 11, Vice President Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam President. Item 11.1, ladies and gentlemen, the Committee on Grievances recommends WTA Grievance 161728, heard by the committee on May 23rd, 2017, be denied. And you guys have a copy of this grievance and the decision in your packets.
Second.
Discussion. If you could just please summarize.
Yes. That's why I thought we included it in the packet.
Okay.
Thank you, President. Description: on February 17, 2017, the grievant alleges she was physically assaulted by a student, resulting in physical injury. The district subsequently failed to follow board disciplinary procedures due to failing to appropriately conduct an investigation and immediately suspend the student. Furthermore, the student was returned to the teacher's classroom, placing the grievant in an unsafe working environment. This conduct by the district is a violation of the safety and health provisions of Article 24 and 27 of the 2016-2019 CBA. During the grievance, it was identified that the student had an IEP. He has a particular behavioral disorder, and it was believed by the district that the incident was a manifestation of the student's IEP, and he was basically, this is a behavior that he tended to have in the past, and they're currently working with him. And so based on, we met with, well, the expert testimony was provided by Michelle Baker for the district in terms of the special education requirements for this particular student, and that the district followed guidelines as according to our state laws. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11.2, ladies
No, I got
and...
it. We have to vote
Oh,
on
I'm
it.
sorry.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion, one, no? Any other? Motion carries, thank you. 11.2,
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Committee on Grievances recommends WTA grievance 161730, heard by the committee on May 23rd, 2017, be denied. I will voluntarily provide the description. In 2017, the board has reduced the number of assistant track coaches approved in prior school years. This has resulted in an unsafe environment for existing teachers serving as track coaches and students due to the lack of supervision as a result of significant increases in track team sizes at all high schools in the district. There is no limitation in the collective bargaining agreement on the number of assistant track coaches that can serve in high schools. This is a violation of Article 24, 27, and Appendix B. The grievance came to a conclusion after hearing from the district, Bob, and former track coach Michael LaRusso, that currently the track coaches, there's two. There's a head coach and an assistant coach. They were looking to secure another track coach to have 3 coaches, and you know, due to budget constraints that we're currently facing, the grievance committee felt that it was not warranted, so we denied the grievance. Thank you.
thank you. We need a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Superintendent's notification to the board, can I have a motion?
Motion received and placed on file, superintendent's notification, items 12.1 to 12.3.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay. 13, unfinished business of preceding meeting only. Okay. Number 14, other unfinished new and miscellaneous business. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to comment on the Parent and Community Leadership Conference that was held last Friday. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend. Actually, was fortunate because I got a chance to see an historical landmark, Harriet Tubman home, and et cetera, her place where she was buried, et cetera. So unfortunately, this landed on the same date. But I just wanted to, I did work with the committee in the planning of this event, and I just wanted to congratulate them. I understand, as I've heard, that it was a very, very successful event, one that we need to continue as it relates to our parents and community involvement. I did hear the comments of Daniel Alberts. I hope that Daniel took an opportunity to make her comments known also in the evaluation that was handed out. But I will also make sure that these recommendations are brought forward and that we look at them, because it is very important that we do all we can to ensure that our parents feel welcome and that they are involved in their children's education. So again, I appreciate the working with the committee. They did work hard, and I want to give them kudos to all their planning and all their work that they that was involved in planning this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments? Okay.
One more.
Commissioner Theriault.
The other evening, I was able to attend my alma mater, Wilby, because I am a Wilby Wildcat. And I did tell the, Mr. Pagano, also a Wilby Wildcat, and I did tell the group in so many words that I had graduated from Wilby 54 years ago. And I proceeded to tell them that I had looked in the mirror that morning, and I said to myself, if I knew you were going to live so long, I would have taken better care of you. But just as upon a side, it was a wonderful evening to see such a great diversity of kids, and some with full scholarships, 4-year scholarships to Yale and University of Connecticut and other places. I mean, you talk about the top 5%. I mean, these kids were absolutely outstanding, manners, dressed, articulate. I mean, we should be so proud of our students. Not just those kids, but all of our students, too. Thank you.
Well said. Any other comments? Okay, can I have a motion?
Make a motion to
Motion
adjourn.
to convene into executive session for discussion concerning the appointment, employment, performance evaluation, health, or dismissal of a public officer or employee.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.